Hey guys, it is that Panda guy, and I'm here again with another video. And today I wanted to talk about Park Dong Wook, probably scuffed that, as well as Freya Herman. And I want to start off this video by thanking Shelby. He helps me a lot with all my videos, like gives me so much information to work with, and he's just really informed on the game. I'm gonna be putting his YouTube in the bio and in the comments, and it would probably mean the world to him if you guys checked him out or even subscribed. So it'd mean a lot to me as well. So consider doing that. And also want to mention that I'm going to be going over a lot more epic heroes because I think that it helps a lot more newbie players and beginners because they don't know what to focus on, and not everybody can just focus a ton of legendary heroes, and they kind of got to decide between like one or the other of a specific troop type, right? So we're going to start with Park today. So we're going to be looking at Park's first skill, where he basically can hit a single enemy, compared to Freya, where I kind of want to mention her skill, her rage skill, basically has a fan attack. I guess kind of like maybe Lee's, right? And basically he's only a one target person, so that's kind of like an offside to him, I feel like, compared to Freya. But he is more tanky when you consider the fact that he reduces their attack by 25%, and this is also considering that you have his skill fully maxed out. But it reduces their attack and defense by 25%. So basically you're reducing the damage they're dealing to you, and you're making it easier for you to deal more damage to them. The attack and defense reduction go from 8% to 10% to 12% to 20% and then to 25%, which is just really nice. And I think he's really good at, like, for example, being a garrison hero, or at least a secondary to a garrison. And I don't know, I think he's just pretty good in that situation. Like if I'm gonna be maybe defending a tower, right, he'd be a pretty good garrison hero, especially for the fact that he's dealing a good amount of damage and kind of reducing the damage that the person's going to be doing, right? But he's going to be just more tanky, right? Just more of a tank monster. His second skill isn't really suitable for combat, so that is really a pretty big offside. But I mean, you can also consider it like this. He is going to be good at farming zombies, so if you do level this guy up, at least you'll be able to farm with him and stuff, and he's just useful in that field. I want to go over his last skill before I do his third skill, and kind of saying that the fact that he increases damage dealt to a squad by 9% when its remaining squad size is less than 50% isn't the most ideal, because in a lot of situations you're not going to be fighting a squad that has less than 50% if they're playing smart or anything, but it's not the worst, and I mean it's fine. And I also want to say that when you look at his third skill, it's also going to be a part of his awaken skill, because basically even if you max it out, this is what it's going to look like. Before you awaken it, it's going to look like increases the rider squad defense by 15%, and after leaving the battle, the travel squad speed goes up to 35% more, right? And then after awakening the hero, and this is also I think at rank 5 skill, nevertheless it might be less when you're like, rank 1, rank 2, whatever, but this is just considering rank 5. And after the awakening, it increases the rider squad defense by 30%, and after leaving the battle, increases the travel speed by 50%. And I kind of want to just go point at the fact that the rider squad defense goes up to 30%, right? Like that makes him so much beefier, and this is why I think that he's so good at tanking, right? And then you also consider the fact that he has this increase in travel speed after leaving a battle. So basically, if you're smart, you can just keep hit and running a squad. And if you guys don't know, I think my friend Shelby told me this, and he said one more thing to mention is that when you notice T4 versus Tier 5 have a little balance in the first 3 seconds of battle, he can be more effective if he can hit and back a few times. So like hit and running a squad. And basically what it's doing is you're kind of fighting a more balanced battle, especially against a higher tier troop, right? If you're doing this. And it's also just really easy to just hit and run, right? If you're mostly in like a really bad situation where you can't be taking on head fights. So, and I mean, he's perfect for it, right? Because he literally increases the travel squad speed by 50%. Like I think Park is such a good hero, and honestly. And now we're gonna go over to Freya and talk about her, tap on her a little bit. So when mentioning Freya, she's good for PvP, I think garrisoning. This is what he told me. And he said that she can increase the squad capacity, which is the third skill, by 8% when you max it up. And I kind of like this skill, and this is the reason I used to use her a lot more. And just having a bigger squad size seems so ideal. And, you know, like for example, having like 10k or 20k extra troops in your squad, that is pretty massive, I think. Just in the grand scheme of things, you kind of see it goes from 2.5 to 3 to 4 to 6% and then 8% depending on the skill level. We're also going to look at her first skill, and this is what I was talking about when I was talking about Park. Her first skill is a rage skill, obviously, and it deals damage to 3 targeted squads, and the damage factor is pretty decent. It also reduces the traveling speed by 50% for 2 seconds, so running away from her is already going to be hard because, one, she's a rider hero, and especially if you're using another troop type. But if you're using a rider squad and you get hit with this skill, you basically can't get away because she's just going to be banging on your back. And we're going to go to the second skill, and it just increases the rider squad attack by 18%, which is nice, but I don't know. I feel like it's not as crazy as what Park's skills would do, right? We're going to look at her fifth skill, which is after leaving the battle, it heals lightly wounded squads once and also increases the travel speed by 50% for 10 seconds. So I kind of want to mention, I'm not really sure about this because I haven't done a lot of testing, but I'm guessing what happens is you can get maybe like 50,000 lightly wounded, and then you can leave the battle and maybe only like 1.5k would be healed, or maybe a certain amount. I'm not really specifically sure about how that works. And if you get back in the battle, I'm not sure if it does that again and again. It looks like it only does that one time, so you can't keep hitting running and just having your lightly wounded heal every time. So that sucks a little bit, but it makes sense. So I think in like most situations, Park is going to win this. You're going to look at her awakening skill, and basically I mean, all it does is increase the damage factor for her first skill, which isn't bad, but like I said, like honestly, in most situations, I think Park is better, especially for taking on 1v1 fights or just taking on little skirmishes where he needs to go in, get out, go in, get out. You know, like he's a really tanky, and just like his skills do really well. You also got to consider, back on my point I said earlier about hit and running and being able to fight on a more even battlefield with Park. Like even if it's tier 4 versus tier 5, you got to mention that your rage builds up in a battle, and if basically he's taking on fights and running away before the rage can even build up, you're basically resetting that over and over and forcing them not to get skill damage off. And it's like, what do? They can't activate their skills properly. They can't get their rage skill because you have to get 1,000 rage in that battle to activate your first skill over and over and over. So it's just really interesting at how like you can abuse those mechanics and just how nice it is. I was talking to Shelby, and he told me that a lot of people in the early game, at least, would use her for sieges, and he said that only works in the early game, and I agree because you're usually going to be going over to Hank or something, and if you're going to be, I don't know, I feel like the only way to do it would be to focus on like these skills and even rage skills, just because you kind of have to be getting her skill damage off. But yeah, I mean, I'd rather use her as a support, but I don't know. I honestly think Park is the better rider hero in most situations, but that's also depending on the situation itself. So I don't know. I hope this video was helpful. I've been freaking blabbing my butt off, but yeah, I hope that was helpful, guys. And you guys have a good day. Peace out.